Some places are meant to be left unexplored, hidden behind layers of history and secrets that should never be uncovered. The allure of the unknown can draw us in, promising an escape from the mundane, only to trap us in a world where the line between reality and nightmare blurs. Imagine a place where the walls seem to hold memories that refuse to stay buried. What if every creak, every flicker of light, and every whisper in the dark was a warning, a sign that something beyond the ordinary is lurking just out of sight? Sometimes the places we seek refuge in can become the very thing that haunts us long after we've left. Would you dare to stay? Or would you walk away, knowing some things are best left undisturbed? It was supposed to be a relaxing weekend getaway, a break from the pressures of everyday life. Jack and Emily had planned the trip for months, their excitement building with each passing day. The idea of a cozy escape to Reno, Nevada had seemed perfect. A weekend of casinos, good food, and scenic views, the ideal way to recharge. What they didn't know was that this particular weekend would become a terrifying nightmare neither of them would ever forget. It all started when they arrived in Reno late on a Friday evening. The city, known for its neon lights and vibrant nightlife, seemed like the perfect escape. The couple checked into the luxurious yet charming hotel, the Nevada Lodge, a place with an old-world feel and a reputation for offering both comfort and character. They were greeted by a friendly receptionist who handed them their key and made small talk about the history of the place. The hotel had been built in the early 1900s, and there were rumors about its age-old reputation as a haunted spot. Of course, Jack dismissed it with a laugh, while Emily felt a slight unease but chalked it up to her overactive imagination. After settling into their room, the couple made their way downstairs to explore the hotel's amenities. The casino floor was buzzing with activity, and the smell of cigarette smoke mixed with the clinking of slot machines. They spent a few hours playing, enjoying the atmosphere, and grabbing drinks. It was all fun, until something strange happened. Around midnight, Emily excused herself to the restroom, leaving Jack at the bar. As she walked through the hallway towards the bathrooms, she felt a sudden cold chill. The air around her grew heavy, and she noticed the lights flickering overhead. She brushed it off, thinking it was just a malfunction. But as she reached the restroom door, she caught a glimpse of something in the reflection of the glass. A figure, standing at the far end of the hall. The figure was tall, with dark hair and a long coat. It was standing perfectly still, almost too still. Emily hesitated, staring at it for a moment before she decided to push through and ignore what she had seen. She told herself it was just another guest, maybe someone waiting for the elevator. But as she washed her hands moments later, she heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps behind her. When she turned around, the hallway was empty. Shaken but trying to brush off the experience, she quickly returned to the bar where Jack was sipping on his drink. "Did you see that?" she asked, her voice a little more urgent than she intended. Jack, who had been too focused on his game to notice, raised an eyebrow. "See what?" Emily told him about the figure and the strange feeling she had in the hallway. Jack, ever the skeptic, dismissed it with a shrug. "It's just the old building, babe. You're probably just tired. Let's go grab a bite and head to bed." They left the casino behind and made their way to a nearby diner. As they ate, the unease Emily had felt earlier lingered, but she didn't want to ruin the night, so she kept it to herself. They returned to their hotel room just before 2 a.m., exhausted but eager to enjoy the rest of their vacation. However, when they entered their room, things felt off. It wasn't just the coldness in the air, it was a feeling of oppression, like something was watching them. Jack dismissed it as being a result of the eerie hallway experience, but Emily couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't alone. She tried to ignore it, but as she climbed into bed, she heard the faint sound of whispering. It was so quiet that at first, she thought it was the wind or the air conditioning. But as she strained to listen, it became clearer. It was voices, indistinct but definitely there. "Do you hear that?" Emily whispered to Jack, her heart racing. He shook his head and pulled the covers tighter around him, murmuring that it was probably the old pipes. Emily lay awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of the strange noises. But just as she began to drift off, the whispers grew louder, now punctuated by soft, creaking footsteps across the floor. She bolted upright in bed, her eyes wide with fear. "Jack, get up. There's someone in here." Jack snapped awake, groggy and confused. He listened intently, but the footsteps had stopped. He looked around, checking the room, but saw nothing. "It's just the building settling." "You're imagining things," he said, though his voice had a hint of uncertainty. Emily, however, was no longer convinced. She was sure that something was wrong. There was a presence in the room, something far beyond the ordinary. She clung to Jack for comfort, but her mind raced, trying to make sense of the eerie happenings. The next day, they decided to visit some of Reno's tourist attractions to take their minds off the unsettling experience. They toured the National Automobile Museum, visited the Nevada Museum of Art, and took a walk along the Truckee Riverwalk. But no matter where they went, the feeling of dread that had plagued Emily seemed to follow them. That evening, they returned to the hotel for a quiet dinner at the in-house restaurant. As they were eating, they overheard another couple talking about strange happenings in the hotel. "Last night, the woman was saying, we heard footsteps outside our room, but when we checked, there was no one there." Her husband nodded in agreement. "And we've seen a figure near the old elevator shaft. It's just weird. Weird." Emily felt a chill run down her spine. She turned to Jack, her face pale. "Jack, I told you I wasn't imagining things. This place is haunted." Jack, still reluctant to believe, agreed to speak with the hotel manager. After dinner, they made their way to the front desk. The receptionist, the same one who had greeted them the night before, seemed a little uneasy as Jack asked about the hotel's history. "Oh, yes, sir," the receptionist said, trying to remain professional. "This hotel has a long history, and there are stories of strange occurrences and unexplained happenings. But of course, those are just stories. Nothing to worry about." As they walked away, Emily couldn't help but feel like something was being withheld. The hotel had an atmosphere that seemed to get under her skin, as though it was hiding something dark, something sinister. That night, they were again disturbed by the whispers, louder than before. But this time, the footsteps followed. Jack finally relented, deciding that they should leave the hotel and spend the rest of the weekend elsewhere. He wasn't sure what was going on, but he couldn't deny the fear in Emily's eyes. As they packed their bags, Emily noticed something that made her blood run cold. On the back of the door, there was an old, weathered photograph. It was a black and white image of the hotel from its early days, but there was something wrong. A figure, indistinct but unmistakable, stood in the corner of the photo, just like the figure Emily had seen in the hallway. Terrified, Emily grabbed Jack's arm. "We need to go. Now." They checked out and left the hotel immediately, not caring to take the time to speak with anyone else. As they drove away from Reno, they both felt a sense of relief, but also an eerie sense of being watched. Emily couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was in that hotel had followed them. They never returned to Reno, and they never spoke of the events of that weekend again. But as the years passed, both Emily and Jack would occasionally glance nervously at hotel lobbies or old buildings. The memory of their ill-fated weekend stayed with them, a constant reminder that sometimes some places are best left undisturbed. And the Nevada Lodge, it still stands to this day, its creaking floors and flickering lights serving as a warning to those who dare stay there. But for Jack and Emily, it will always be the site of their worst nightmare, a weekend getaway turned into a horror they will never forget. Some experiences stay with us long after they've passed, their echoes lingering in the corners of our minds. It's easy to think we can simply walk away, but the memories of places that unsettle us don't fade so quickly. Whether it's the whispers of a forgotten past or the weight of unseen eyes watching, some locations carry a darkness that refuses to be ignored. So, next time you're looking for an escape, remember, not all destinations are as they seem. You might find more than you bargained for, and not in a way you ever imagined. If you've ever felt the chill of an unexplained presence, or had an encounter that left you questioning reality, hit that like button and subscribe. Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Do you believe some places are better left alone?